Hi, and welcome to the Teaching Corner. Today we're going to start on level 2 of the Orton-Gillingham sequence. I've done 3 videos previously on level 1 and I'll link those down below. But level 2 starts with bossy R. So I always have my students put their hands on their hips and we swing back and forth saying bossy R because R's are so bossy that they'll change the vowel sound. So the first one that we do is AR. And I love to have a picture of a pirate and we say, "Arr, a pirate's favorite phoneme." And every time they use that in spelling, I'll do it and it usually will get a laugh from the students. And then we have OR, and then I'll teach my students after that R-controlled syllables. And I'll put a link down below to the video I did on syllable division. But I'll teach my students that if they see a vowel and then an R, they're going to know that they're going to swoop there because it's going to be an R-controlled syllable. Then we talk about ER, IR, and UR. And ER, IR, and UR all say So I teach my students the little sentence, her first nurse. And ER is the most common sound. And then IR for first is the second most common. And then UR for nurse. And when I'm teaching IR words, I'll often teach them as girly words. And so we'll do twirl and skirt and things like that that have IR and make a sentence with them to teach that they're girly words. And then with UR, we'll teach them as hurt words and we'll draw pictures like purple and nurse and hurt and hurl and all of those things. If your ankle turns purple, you need to go see the nurse. That those are hurt words to help them. Because they all make the same sound, these are something that is really good to chart with your students so that they can see the difference between ER, IR, and UR because they're not going to hear the difference. Then we go into kind old words. Normally in a word like kind, when you see the I and there's no other vowel, we would think that it's surrounded by consonants, so it would be a closed syllable. But if a single vowel is followed by 2 consonants, it often makes the long vowel sound, like in kind, or wild, or old, or most, or colt, or roll. So we teach kind old words all together to help students with those particular words and vocabulary. Then we're going to get into suffixes. In the very first sequence, we talked briefly about suffixes, but you want to remind students here that suffixes or affixes are things that get added to a word, that they come at the end of the word, and that they add meaning to the word, and they tell us what part of speech the word is. So we're going to teach them the suffix ed, and ed has 3 parts, or 3 sounds. It says ed, d, and t. So ed makes the ed sound, ed makes the d sound, or d, and ed makes the t sound, or t, the t sound, or t, sorry. Like in wanted, played, and jumped. So you want them to understand that it's being added to a verb. Ed always goes on a verb, and when it's added to a verb, it means that it happened in the past. And I'll throw my hand over my shoulder to show the students that it happened in the past. And so if they look at the word and it's a verb and it has the d sound, it's still going to be spelled ed, or the t sound, it'll still be spelled ed. Then I teach them the doubling rule, and the doubling rule, or the 1-1-1 rule, is if it's a single syllable word with 1 short vowel and 1 final consonant, you double the final consonant. And then we'll teach them the drop E rule. So if your base word ends in an E and your suffix starts with a vowel, you drop the E and add the ending. Then we'll go into other suffixes. So we'll do suffix E. This is E at the end of a word, and it makes the word an adjective. So I'll sign ADJ for students so that they know that it's an adjective. Then suffix LY often is an adverb, but it can be an adjective. But with younger students, I will often teach them that we use this to spot adverbs if you're beginning to teach grammar, because lots of adverbs end in ly. So words like slowly or sweetly. Then suffix full means full of. So we'll take our hand and bring it up. This is full. suffix less means without. So you take both of your hands together and you pull them apart. Less means without. Then suffix -er can actually have two different meanings. So it can be a person who or compares to. This is the sign for compare. You cup your hand and you compare two different things like this, compare. So I'll just modify that and use person who or compares to help them remember. And then suffix est compares three or more. So we'll do that modified compare sign by twisting the three to help them remember. Then suffix ish means like, and it makes the word an adjective. Then we have EAR. So the sentence that I use with students here is I fear I heard a bear. So fear is you take both fists and you'll throw them in front of your body. So I fear I heard, and you just cup your hand by your ear, a bear. You cross your hands and you scratch like a bear. So I fear I heard a bear. Then we have all, alt, and alk, like in the word walk. And then we're coming to diphthongs. So diphthongs are now when we see two vowels, instead of the first vowel saying its name like in a vowel team, a diphthong makes an entirely new sound. So OI says oi, and I always teach them OI says oi, never used at the end of a word. Then oi, the oi of boy, and of course this one is often at the end of a word. Then ah, never used at the end of a word. Then aw, the aw of jaw, and I'll tap my jaw for them to remember that one. And then OU says ow, never used at the end of a word. And OW says ow, and of course that one sometimes is at the end of the word. So that's the first column of level 2. I hope that was helpful. If it was, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye!